Am I the whole to want to stop communicating with my family after I was not mentioned in the will? I am an Asian woman in my 40s, raised the traditional way. The eldest bears the burden, and males are favored. I have two younger brothers, much younger than me. From an early age, I was expected to set an example for them. When I was 9, our family moved to the West. Back home, I had been subjected to frequent physical punishment for anything my parents, mostly my mother, deemed punishable, often based on false accusations. However, when we moved, my brothers, still toddlers, were spared from physical punishment, as friends here warned my parents they could face prosecution. My mother is passive-aggressive and emotional. She has long resented me, blaming me for her strained relationship with my paternal grandmother. Ironically, my grandmother was the one person who showed me unconditional love growing up. I doubt I was the reason for their tension, but I became the easy scapegoat. From a young age, I learned to be independent. Though my parents worked downstairs, I was often left alone upstairs before I even started school. Relatives would sometimes find me alone and take me home. I learned quickly, stay obedient, don't talk back. Punishments always followed if I did. My father, always working, stayed uninvolved. When my first brother was born, my mother saw him as her ticket to social status. She doted on him, accused me of being jealous, and often sent me away. Things didn't improve when my second brother was born. Thankfully, I had the love of my grandmother and extended relatives. On the surface, after settling in the new country, my parents maintained a facade of being a perfect, fair family. In reality, I became their bridge to the outside world, translating, writing, and handling their communications. When they opened their own business, I became a full-time caretaker for my brothers, tutoring them, cooking, entertaining, keeping them safe, while still being a child myself. Despite my hard work, life remained unfair. I was sent to public school despite winning places at prestigious private schools. Meanwhile, my brothers attended expensive private schools. I wasn't allowed to join extracurricular activities or socialize unless my brothers were included. Friends later told me they only tolerated my brothers because it was the only way to see me. Years passed. After I graduated university and started training for a job, my father announced we would move to yet another country. The real reason? One of my brothers was failing high school and getting into trouble. My parents hoped a fresh start would save him. I begged to stay behind, but was told that if I refused, I would no longer be considered part of the family. Bound by filial duty, I went. I adapted, built a life, and married. My husband and I worked hard, built a business, and became financially comfortable. We were generous to our families, paying for holidays, luxury goods, medical treatments, even vehicles. Meanwhile, my brother struggled, taking longer to finish university and landing mediocre jobs with low pay. At first, my parents were proud of me and my husband, but as our financial gap widened, resentment grew. They believed they had to keep financially supporting my brothers to match us. I never complained. I respected my parents' right to manage their money however they saw fit. I admired their work ethic, despite their favoritism. Then came the turning point. A natural disaster struck our area. Our home was severely damaged. For weeks, we lived without power, barely sleeping, struggling to keep things secure. Neighbors and employees showed up to help. My brothers, when asked, came only 3 times for a few hours, each time leaving early for reasons I couldn't understand. When I half-jokingly mentioned it to my father, he simply said he approved of them not helping. That hurt more than I can explain. Later, when my father was diagnosed with cancer, my husband and I pulled every string we could to get him top treatment with almost no wait time. But it was never enough. He expected 24/7 attendance, which COVID restrictions made impossible. We dropped off supplies, called often, and stayed connected as best we could. He eventually passed. At his funeral, while sorting documents, I saw an envelope labeled will. My mother snatched it, handed it to my brother, and told him to put it away. I didn't think much of it, until later, when I learned my brothers had sorted the will without me. When I finally asked for a copy, I read it and sobbed. I was not mentioned even once. I confronted my mother. First, she lied, claiming there was no will. Then, when I showed her the copy my brother sent, she dismissed it with a cold, "Oh, that. I forgot." It wasn't about the money. It was the erasure. He didn't even leave me a note or a line saying, "You're doing well. I trust you'll be fine." Nothing. Despite this, my family still expected financial help from me. I gladly helped when I could, even though they frequently canceled babysitting plans at the last minute for their social outings, costing me flights, accommodations, and work engagements. What finally broke me was what I started hearing from others. Friends and relatives told me my mother was spreading rumors, that I slept around, I didn't. I stayed celibate until marriage, that I stole money, completely false, that I received equal shares in family wealth, I did not. She made me out to be ungrateful, selfish, and neglectful. She even whispered manipulative things to my children, pressuring them to beg me for vacations and outings she wanted. The final straw was when my mother gifted my son, not a toy, not even a keepsake, but an airplane vomit bag after her overseas trip. Not poor, not struggling, she had the means. It was pure disrespect. So now I am stepping away. For the sake of my mental health, and for the sake of my children, I am choosing distance. I have spent a lifetime trying to earn her love. I have bent over backwards, stayed silent, and remained obedient. I am done. Am I the whole for finally prioritizing my own peace and my family's well-being? Update. Thank you so much for all the support I received after posting my story. It really helped me feel more at peace with the decision I made. Growing up, I was always taught that blood is thicker than water, and that it was my duty to take care of my mother after my father's passing. This idea was heavily reinforced by everyone who attended the funeral. After everything happened, I confided in one of my cousins about what I had been through. She was genuinely shocked. In her eyes, my parents, especially my father, were flawless and could do no wrong. I have to admit, both of my parents worked very hard to provide for us, and outwardly, they always came across as nice people. But behind closed doors, they were very different. Thankfully, after sharing more with her, and after she had her own interactions with my mother and my brothers since my father's passing, my cousin started to see the truth for herself. She realized that what I said wasn't exaggerated. I've also taken the step of translating a copy of my father's will into our native language and keeping it as evidence, in case anyone tries to accuse me of being heartless. Some of my other relatives are also beginning to see things more clearly and understand my position, which is a small but meaningful comfort. The biggest blessing, though, is the unwavering support from my husband and his family. He has shared everything with them, and they've been nothing but kind and understanding. My husband has been my rock, and he fully supports my decision 100%. Everything we do is with our children's well-being in mind. We are determined to keep them away from toxic influences. I'm not someone who likes to complain about my life. I believe in spreading positive energy wherever I can. Even when I'm feeling low, I don't believe it's my right to drag others down with me. From today onwards, I will start cutting off communication with my mother and brothers. I will do my best not to let them affect me emotionally anymore. Thank you again to everyone who offered their kind words and encouragement.